Hello, and welcome to Cooking with Todd. This is Todd. For today's video, I have decided to make Sloppy Joe sauce. For this recipe, you are going to need one medium onion. I have about 3/4 of a very large one here. This is very finely diced. You're also going to need one bell pepper, 2 stalks of celery, 4 ounces of mushrooms, and 2 Roma tomatoes, finely chopped as well. You're also going to need 200 grams or half a cup of plain white sugar. You're also going to need about 4 tablespoons of blackstrap molasses to make brown sugar. I actually prefer the taste of homemade brown sugar over the store-bought brown sugar, so that's why I use it. And plus, I never use the store-bought stuff before it goes hard, and at that time I just throw it away, so it's a waste of money. You're also going to need 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire. You're going to need 2 cloves of garlic. I have 3 here because I have 2 small cloves. You're also going to need 1 teaspoon of salt, black pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and paprika. You're also going to need 30 grams or 1 ounce of tomato paste. And the last thing you're going to need is some tomato sauce. This is 949 grams or 33.5 ounces. You can use 2 15-ounce cans if you do not have any of this type right here. And, of course, ground beef. I do not remember how many pounds of ground beef this recipe makes for the sauce, so I will go ahead and just fill you in on that information further down when it gets to the point where I'm adding it to my ground beef. And to get started, you're going to want to get a pot of water coming up to a boil, which mine just came up to a boil. And you are going to want to boil your bell pepper, celery, mushrooms, and tomatoes for about 5 minutes. And you're going to want to go ahead and drain those after they're done boiling. I will just go ahead and bring you back once I get these done and drained and everything. Okay, so I got my veggies done. They're in the back now, and they've been strained and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on the sauce portion of this. And for this, I'm going to go ahead and add in my tomato sauce. I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit. And I'm going to rinse that out with a little bit of water later on. I'm going to go ahead and add in my molasses. Right about there should be enough. I'm going to go ahead and stir this into the tomato sauce. I just had to make sure it was recording. It's the second time I've started doing something today and it was not recording. Alright, that's good enough right there. I'm going to go ahead and add in my seasonings. My Worcestershire, my sugar, and I'm going to go ahead and rinse this tomato sauce box out right quick. With probably about 100 milliliters of water. Give it a shake. And I'm going to go ahead and just dump this right back in. And discard of that. I'm going to go ahead and add in my tomato paste. I'm just going to go ahead and add in what's left in this. Since a little extra tomato paste really ain't going to hurt. And honestly, I don't think that was enough anyways, so I'll have to get another one of them. And right about there's good enough for me. I'm going to go ahead and give this another quick stir. And I'm going to let this simmer for probably about 15 minutes or so. Just to let everything kind of dissolve and let the flavors get to know each other here. And then after 15 minutes, I will actually add in my onions. And right before I'm getting ready to turn the heat off, maybe about 5 minutes or so, I will go ahead and add in the par-cooked vegetables. I will just go ahead and bring you back once I'm getting ready to do the next step. And you are going to want to simmer this on a medium heat before I forget to mention that. Okay, so this has been simmering here now for about 10 minutes, and it has thickened up to right around what I'm looking for at this point. So I am going to actually add a little apple cider vinegar, as I think it needs just a little more acidity. So I'm going to add about a teaspoon of that. You do not need to add this if you do not want to. That is totally up to you. I also did end up adding a additional 2 tablespoons, I believe, of white sugar and an additional tablespoon of molasses. You don't have to add the extras. I just taste it and add according to my taste. So you can do this however you want to. And another thing, you are not going to want to cover this. You are looking to evaporate a good amount of moisture out of this. So it is going to be a little messy because you're going to have splatter everywhere. If you have one of them mesh screen splatter guards, go ahead and use that. That will save a headache of trying to clean stuff up. I'm going to go ahead and add in about 3/4 of that onion that I have there, and I'm going to go ahead and mix the onion in. And that looks right about the right amount for me. I know I said earlier that I was going to add this in last. I'm actually just going to go ahead and add this in right now because I'm trying to evaporate as much moisture from this as I can. And by adding this now, it will just make the end result a little thicker. And that is what I want this time around. I don't really want overly sloppy Joes. I mean, it is in the name, Sloppy Joe, but I am not looking for overly sloppy Joes. So I'm just going to go ahead and mix this in. And this is going to simmer for about another 15 minutes, or until the thickness is about twice as thick as it is now. I will just go ahead and bring you back at that point. Okay, so I just realized shortly after I stopped recording that I forgot to crush in my garlic. So you are going to want to go ahead and crush in your garlic after you add in your veg. So just thought I should go ahead and fill you in on that. Okay, so this has about doubled in thickness since I originally started. So I am happy with this at this time. I am going to go ahead and just give this a quick stir. I'm going to go ahead and cut the heat off. And I'm going to go ahead and just transfer this over into a stainless steel bowl and try and make a bigger mess, obviously. And I'm just going to use a rubber spatula to try and get everything else out of the bottom. And I'm going to rinse this out and reuse the same pan to fry my ground beef. And I will go ahead and just... Okay, so my ground beef is done, and it is about as fine as it's going to get. So I'm going to go ahead and just scrape the bottom right quick to dislodge any of the pieces of ground beef. And I am going to go ahead and just start ladling this in. I'm going to start with just one to start. And then I'm going to mix it in. And I'm going to go ahead and just add maybe 2 to 3 more ladles. And like I said, I don't really like a liquidy Sloppy Joe, if you would want to call it that. I kind of prefer mine to be on the thicker side. So I'm going to just leave it right here. So I'm guessing this will be good enough for 3 pounds cooked. Maybe a little more, depending on how thick you like yours. But this right here is good enough for me. And I'm going to let even more moisture evaporate at this time. And it looks like I spilled a little bit, but I will just wipe that up right quick. So, like I said, this is enough for me. And I'm going to let this sit here and simmer for a little longer to thicken up even more. And it really helps to have a wide pan like this with sloped edges to help with the evaporation. Okay, so I'm just going to let this simmer here for about another minute or so. And this is pretty much this video. I'm going to go ahead and just wrap it up right here. If you enjoyed watching this video, make sure you smash that like button. If you are not subscribed already, make sure you smash that subscribe button. And also smash the bell so you can be notified when I upload another video. As always, I hope you continue to come back and enjoy watching me on this journey of mine.